House of X number 4 got the variant edition, RIP Archangel. I almost forgot that he died in this comic book. This was a good read. This is my second favorite of the House of X's and Powers of Tenses. I thought that the one where Moira discovers that she's a reincarnator was that's elite. That's top tier. You're never gonna beat me there because every comic book coming after it's meaningful. This was second because the fighting in here was great, the anticipation and the story, and the wanting for these guys to succeed. But every book begins. The first page of this book began with the craziest shun to Wanda Maximoff. They called her the Pretender Wanda Maximoff. She is a pretender. And that means Quicksilver was a pretender too, which makes sense why he could inhale that Terrigen mists right after the House of M's scenario. There was like a 5-part series where he went up to Attilan, he inhaled the mist, he got some superpowers, and he was bringing it to different people. He didn't die the same way Cyclops did. Chillmonger remembers that. And her affiliation, Wanda Maximoff, was Avengers. Fuck. I don't know what's happening, but it's dark. I do know that they are respecting the previous lore, the previous, most recent stories. I remember when that page came that said the lost 10 years. It was issue number 2, the Moira edition. It said the lost 10 years, and it showed the Phoenix 5 during AVX, and people were doing commentary saying, you see Hickman's ignoring everything that the old writers wrote. That's not true. Not true at all. I was saying that about Cyclops' eye, that because it wasn't really him. Obviously, with Cyclops, spoiler alert, by the way, with Cyclops dying at the end of this, I just think that there's this reincarnation deal that's happening that Moira has the power to spread. I'll talk about that at the end of my issue. But with people coming back and people being respected, their runs are being respected, yes, because Trinary is someone who debuted in 2018. Tom Taylor's X-Men Red. He's respecting that. With Cypher still having that arm of Warlock, that's something that Matthew Rosenberg did in 2018. Things that happened in 2019, like that Trinary Cypher's arm. I had another note. Where was it? Damn it. But still, they're respecting it. This is all the first page. I'm still talking about the first page. I saw 3 sisters of the Cuckoos. Not just Sophie and Esme, not just the 2 dead ones, but there was a third one doing that kind of hive linking of the minds where Jean Grey was there. And I'm still on the first page now. The way that they used Storm, and he explained her powers in such a creative way. Usually when we see Storm, it's to do her thunderbolts. It's effective, it's visually appealing, and that's the go-to attack. That's what I would use every single time. But I love when they use the wind, and they use other metrics of the atmosphere. In this issue, they used the sunlight reaching Earth in 8 minutes. That's something we learned in grade 5 in Canada over here. And knowing what they were talking about, I'm just like, that was fucking creative. Hickman was down with a pencil and paper thinking, how can I use her? So what she did was she got to bypass the speed of light with the conversations that Jean was having with Professor X through the help of the other psychics. Beast was part of that. Trinary was over there. That was some great stuff, man. So, of course, with the psychic conversation, we also got to have some visually appealing stuff. And inside of the water, you could see Jean Grey's face. And I thought the artwork over there was crazy good. The lily pads, bro. The lily pads. He says, you've always had a good head. He said, you've always had a good head on your shoulders. Now, when Professor X says that, that makes me feel like it's been a long time since they spoke. That's something that I would say, imagine a scenario where I move out of home, I go to my campus for the whole year, I come back, and my dad says, when you came back, I thought it would be more loud, but you always were the quiet one in the family. Like, that's what you say when you haven't seen someone in a long time. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. Let's flip pages. I'm just going to, when I wrote my notes, and I realized, damn, that was all in the beginning of the book, let me just talk about what happens at the end, because I don't want this review to be too long. The Hive Megazord thing happens. It reminds me of the psychic in the Immortal Hulk number 22 issue. They said in that book that there was a psychic that could even hear what Alpha Flight, Gamma Flight were doing. So when Gamma Flight teleported over, they're like, yeah, we're waiting for you this whole time. Remember that. The humans in this universe, if House of X is happening in Marvel 616, have that ability. Now let's do a death count. Husk is dead. R.I.P. She's the third Guthrie to go. Jay with his red angel wings dead. and one of them from Endangered Species Part 5 was killed by Dark Beast. Uh, Archangel's dead too. Tear, 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 tear. We know he's coming back. And then, shoot, Jean Grey dies, Cyclops dies, Nightcrawler sacrificed himself to die, Mystique died in the coolest way with the coolest art, and Wolverine died. They all died trying to take away these corner pieces. There were four of these collars that were holding the mother mold there. We know that the humans built that safety just insurance plan to make the mother mold fall into the sun. The two of them went down first because Nightcrawler and Wolverine know their shit. And I do like how they drew this picture with the two on the left getting destroyed first. Naturally, as a comic reader, I read from the left to the right. So that's very appreciated. Now, with all this death happening and the mutants win at the end, it makes me think of what Rosenberg was up to. Maybe he was told, listen, in the new Hickman run, he's got the ability to revive people from the death with his little pod things, what we saw in the first issue. Maybe that explains why Rosenberg was killing off Wolfsbane. He killed off Blindfold to tell a little message about suicide. He was just killing Sunspot, and everybody in between was dying in Rosenberg's run. How I feel about that, assuming that it's birth pods that's going to bring everybody back, I feel like we're making a joke out of death, which is already a joke. So beating the dead horse doesn't mean like, hey, look, the horse is already dead. So we can kill it. The joke. Fuck, I should use a better analogy. Scrap what I just said. I'm not gonna edit this out. I feel like the fact that we're killing people is lazy and lame, even though you knew in the back of your head, Matthew Rosenberg, that we were gonna get these mutants back. It takes away the shock. It makes me roll my eyes the next time an actual legitimate death happens, which is never. But when that one official real death actually happens, I'll always be like, yeah, they're coming back. I'm sure Ironheart's dad, biological dad, is coming back in the next issue. Like, everybody who dies is not really dead, and death is a joke in comic books. I dislike that they were killing off people in Uncanny X-Men in the last 12 issues. Now, with Moira, this is what I'm talking about. Her last life was Apocalypse. What does Apocalypse do? He enhances you, makes you a better mutant. Whatever your power was, he did it to Gambit. He was even more super. He did it to Archangel to Archangel. So with him enhancing Moira, perhaps she could also bring everyone from her previous life with her. We lost Marvel Girl, okay? That's the first iteration of Jean Grey from life number 1. We lost Cyclops and we lost A. Logan. I think they're gonna come back and it'll be like, oh, you're on your second life. By the end of this whole House of Powers of maybe everyone will be on their final life and it'll be the ones that we've known forever. That's just a theory. A comic theory. I like talking about this series, man. This is great. I just hope they stick the landing and everything is meaningful. That's what sticking the landing will mean to me. I know they got a highlighted red House of X coming up, and that'll probably be the one. Everybody have a great day, and